In this learning objective, we're going to continue talking about logarithms and what happens when we try to evaluate a log. So the idea is we have this new function called the logarithm function. And again, what we learned in our previous learning objective is just the inverse of the exponential. But even though it's the inverse of the exponential, it still is its own function, so it's going to have its own properties and things. So the first thing we're going to do is we have this function. Whenever you have a function, you want to be able to plug things in for your x. All right, so in this learning objective, we're going to figure out how to plug things in for x. So let's say I want to have log base 2. So my original function is just log base 2, which again is the opposite of 2 to the x. All right, and I put in 8. So what do I get out when I put in 8? All right, this should be equal to something. I don't know what that something is now because that's what we're learning, but what could I say? Let's just say I figured out the answer, and that answer is, let's use C. And I don't know what C is yet, but that's the basic idea. But now, if I look at this expression, it's just like our previous learning objective. I could rewrite this as an exponential. So I could rewrite this as 2 is my base. C is going to go into the exponent, and that's equal to 8. So really, when you're answering a log question, you're asking, what exponent do I put here to get the number that was in the parentheses? 2 raised to what exponent is 8? And again, when you're first doing these, you can do a little bit of guess and check. Maybe you think it's 2. 2 squared is 2 times 2, and that's 4. All right, so that one doesn't work. Well, if you don't, 2 squared doesn't work, maybe try 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, and you get 8. And that's exactly what you want. So the answer for this one, log base 2 of 8, is going to be equal to 3. And why is that true? Because if I take 2 and I cube it, I get 8. All right, so it makes sense when I switch backward to my exponential function that is what I'm trying to get. All right, so here's the general strategy for evaluating your logs. All right, the first thing is never forget that logs and exponentials are linked together. So whenever you're dealing with logs, you're always going to have exponents in the back of your mind. All right, the most common mistake is just thinking about basic multiplication rather than exponents. So if you're doing log base 2 of 8, a lot of people say that's 4 because 2 times 4 equals 8. But again, we're not thinking about basic multiplication. We're thinking about exponents. All right, 2 cubed is 8, and that's why the answer is 3. So make sure you're thinking about exponents, which do involve multiplication, but not direct multiplication. And then remember, when you're trying to evaluate a logarithm, you're trying to find the exponent that you put on your base to get the thing on the inside. So the exponent I put on 2 to get 8 was 3. All right, so here's a few examples. Log base 2 of 16. The question we're asking ourselves is 2 raised to what exponent equals 16? And again, just do a little guess and check. 2 squared is 4. That doesn't work. 2 cubed is 8. That doesn't work. 2 to the 4th is 16. All right, and that's exactly what I want. The answer is 4. And the reason, again, is because 2 to the 4 equals 16. Log base 3 of 3. So I'm putting 3 into my log base 3. I'm asking myself, 3, the base, raised to what exponent equals 3? All right, and you could try 2, that's 9, 3, that's 27, 4 is 81, none of those work. But if I want to get the same number out of an exponent, I just put 1. All right, 3 to the 1st equals 3. All right, so the answer for this one is just 1. All right, next, log base 3 of 27, so we're still working with our base 3. But 3 raised to what exponent is going to be 27? I actually just mentioned when I was going over the previous slide, 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27. So my answer is the exponent 3 that I put on 3 to get 27. Next one, log base 7 of 49. 7 raised to what exponent equals 49? 7 to the 1st is 7, so that doesn't work. 7 squared is 49. So the answer is going to be 2. Again, always double check. The answer is 2 because 7 raised to the 2nd power equals 49. All right, so I'm always thinking about exponents whenever I'm dealing with logs. All right, so here's the one for you to try on your own. I figure out log base 6 of 36. And the answer is 2 because 6 squared, 6 to the second power is 36. All right, so when you're doing these problems, make sure you're thinking about exponents. What exponent am I putting on my base to get that number in parentheses? And the most common mistake is thinking about basic multiplication. All right, the most common wrong answer here would be 6, because 6 times 6 is 36, but I want to think about exponents. So that is the answer that I want. All right, so for this learning objective, you're going to do problems on delta math, or you're going to complete 10 problems. And again, they should be kind of quick because you're just finding this exponent. If you know how to do it, you can get through them pretty quickly. All right, 2 of the bonus objectives for this unit are going to be related to doing more challenging problems of this type. So once we get some negative answers, or maybe we get answers that are fractions, all right, all that's going to be covered in the bonus objectives.